Well, wonderful. I'd love to start out by congratulating you on your ASC award nomination.
Well,
Uh,
thank you very much.
yeah, and I'd love to delve into your work on this film and start with, what drew you to the project at first.
Well, the film is based on a short novella by Claire Keegan. So it's an adaptation of that book, and I had read that book like a number of years ago, and it's such a beautiful piece of writing. And so when the director emailed me just out of the blue to say that he had adapted the short story, I was like, oh wow, okay. This could go either of two ways, either it's going to be incredible, or I'm going to be really disappointed that this gorgeous book, is unadaptable. But so I read the script, and it was, yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking. I knew what was coming at the end, but even still, I was like crying. And so we, yeah, teamed up, and yeah, Colm's a great guy. He's just very kind of sensitive and considered and gentle spirit. So yeah, we clicked immediately.
That's wonderful that you guys had a great collaboration. I think it's really tricky trying to adapt a story that you already love in its written form. And then on top of that, there's, the challenges of it being a period piece and having, a young actor. Looking at all of these challenges, how did you kind of address those different components?
Yeah, I did feel kind of responsibility to to get it right, and I think the sort of overwhelming sort of feeling from the story was just this very kind of economical, sort of empathetic um, writing that had a real kind of attention to detail, and so it was about trying to reflect that in the photography. Not to kind of just keep it simple in a sense, and then allow it to do its thing, and sort of have a sort of simple elegance to the storytelling, which is kind of easier said than done when it comes to filming kids as well, right? Because the obvious choice would be maybe to go handheld, because then you can be a little bit more flexible and adjust and adapt to the main character. So yeah, Catherine Clinch, it was her first time in front of the camera. A gorgeous little girl, and yeah, just immediately was kind of out of the blocks, ready to go. Lucky for us, even in the camera tests, she was like ready to be witnessed, and we even used one of the shots from the camera test.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. um, so yeah, she was incredible. Like she was kind of getting it on the first or second take. So yeah, it was.
Yeah.
She kept us on our toes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty special. It can be really difficult to work with child actors. So that's great that you also had a wonderful collaboration with her as well. Yeah, I mean, what is something, you're most proud of from shooting this film, whether it's a particular sequence or, how you addressed a certain issue that arose on set?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty proud of the film just as a whole. Just that it's such a tiny little gentle film that has kind of just somehow gathered this momentum, and it's just incredible to see it go out into the world, and even just at home here in Ireland, like every generation is sort of somehow responding to it, and so I think on a film that's like I think the budget was 1.3 million. It's like you know you never kind of expect that it can go so far beyond your expectations. So I think that's kind of, yeah, definitely proud of of that fact. I think in terms of my work on it, yeah, I mean, I think just even the idea of restraint throughout the film, like just kind of maintaining that sense of composure no
Mhm.
matter what, even when we were up against it time wise, that that we took the time to choose the right angles and not sort of get flustered in a sense, and you know, just hold her nerve, because a film like that you're shooting just for 5 weeks, and you've got child actor who's only with you for maybe 4.5 hours on camera a day, and she's in pretty much every scene. So how does that work? Yeah, so it's just kind of holding your nerve and trying to really plan the day. Like, we had a double, which definitely helped. But yeah, it's, you know, all the other actors around supporting her, you know, they were very generous with their performances as well, because they were acting. She, you know, we would have begun a scene with her, and then she was gone, and then they would have to sort of complete the scene without her. So, you know, it was also for them, bringing that sort of generosity of spirit to the table was brilliant too.
Yeah, I mean, that seems very difficult performance wise to still have to give it your all once, you know, she has to be wrapped for the day. That's definitely very tricky. Yeah, I mean, how did the short filming hours that you had with your lead affect, you know, like the visual style, if it did affect, you know, how you chose what kind of shots you used?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just really careful planning. Like, we did do a shot list for every day, and
Mm-hmm.
although I like to not sort of move into a sort of an accounting, you know, taking the shots off, we did have to kind of lock into quite, you know, the plan that we had set out, and really keep an eye on that we were sort of managing the time correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would begin the day maybe with more demanding scenes, like, say, technically demanding, where I had more time to kind of set up. And so we would be fully up and running when she would step on set, and just kind of rattle through it. So yeah, I think it was just, you know, it's also the getting the whole crew to be focused in that way as well. That when she steps on, it's like, okay, we're ready to go. And I think, you know, it's important that you kind of get your whole crew kind of in that correct rhythm, right?
So, I mean, this might be kind of a tough question, or maybe it isn't, but, you know, having already loved the written form of this story, and now having, you know, created the visual telling of it, uh, are you happy with the way that it all got translated to the screen?
Well, I always find it really hard to watch my films after they're made, and it probably took me like 3 or 4 years to actually see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And it helps, you know, the more you watch it, the more you can kind of start to see it come back together, because you've kind of dissected it in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I can only just hope that we have honored the story. Like, I guess I went back and read the short story again afterwards, which was kind of interesting, just to kind of remind myself where the beginnings were, because you, at some point, you have to let go of the book and sort of hone in on the script, right?
Right.
So yeah, it was just very curious to go back to the book and see what was there, and how it was, you know, because it's told very much in the first person, and we're kind of witnessing the world very much through her eyes. So that was, I guess, kind of one of our anchors was, you know, this is kind of her POV, and so we have to come down to her level. And you know, choosing, I guess, the kind of narrow aspect ratio was sort of also maybe feeding into that idea that she still had somehow a world to discover that, you know, she didn't quite understand yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all those elements kind of feeding into this, yeah, her point of view, I guess.
Yeah. What does this nomination mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's like, again, just such a tiny little film, and to have it even just being viewed by members of the ASC is, like, for a start, just amazing for me. Like, really humbled by that people would sit down and watch such a gentle, quiet film.
Yeah.
And then to be honored and nominated, yeah, it's just brilliant. Like, totally chuffed. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Are
a good
there
manner. Yeah.
any of the other nominated films or shows that really inspired you creatively this year that you'd want to give a shout out to?
God, there's just so much great work out there.
Yeah, there
So
is.
I don't know where you would start. But yeah, I mean, always looking at my colleagues and peers' work and even beyond. So yeah, it's um, it's always nice to kind of fire off other people's creativity. I mean, not even. I think for me, when I'm looking to be inspired, I tend to look at stuff that's completely a totally different kind of film, just so that it kind
Yeah.
of triggers something in me to kind of counter it. So yeah, um, I can't think of anything specifically
No,
that comes
that's
to
totally
mind.
fine. Yeah. I mean, is there anything I haven't asked you about the film or the process of making it that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna just say, like, working with the director Colin Braid, we had never worked previously, and I guess when you're considering doing a project, um, you're wondering, like, is a debut director gonna hold their nerve?
Hmm.
Once you get into the thick of working on set, because of course you're in prep, you're starting to get to know each other, and I really appreciated him through that process, but you still kind of wonder, okay, what's going to happen when you're really under pressure, and everything's kind of, he's got 100 questions coming at him every minute of the day.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of amazing. Like, it was as if he had done, or even that we had done 100 films before together. It was just sort of, we sort of found this lovely rhythm and lovely kind of way of collaborating. And I said to him at the end of the film, like, this isn't usual. Like, this is a pretty special what happened during this set. And for him, it's his first time out on a feature, so he might think that's how it is
They're all
normally.
gonna be like this. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was really appreciative. I
Yeah.
was really appreciative of that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's, very rare to find those collaborators like that, especially, going into never having worked with them before. So that's wonderful that it all came together in that way.
I mean, I think it's, you only do your best work when you are supported by those around you, and that it's a sort of nurturing, creative space that everybody
Hmm.
can feel like they can bring to the table their best kind of, um, you know, creative self. So
Yeah.
I think, like, definitely he was able to create that kind of environment where it was just sort of, we could all kind of come together and work towards the same kind of end goal. So yeah, that's pretty special.
Yeah,
That's
it
what
is.
filmmaking is about, right?